Thanks for joining us. We're live with America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani, and welcome to Call the Mayor. Talk to the mayor. Discuss things with the mayor, whatever you want to call it. This is a interesting night. We're all anticipating a talk by former President Donald Trump, taking us back to the good old days when we had a president who actually would talk. And now I want to start on a serious note, and one that will be the subject of my podcast this week. And I'm working very, very diligently on it because I really believe this has got to get through to the American people. And once again, nobody else is doing it. I feel like, except for maybe myself and people, nobody wants to confront the truth anymore. You know, it's like it's not just Republicans; it's Democrats also. The last 3 weeks, and certainly during this trip to, if you listen to Biden, Columbia, it's quite clear that Biden is falling apart in front of our eyes. There were several articles done both in American and foreign journals, and certainly not the mainstream ones. And they counted the number of, they call them gaffes, but actually what they are symptoms of dementia based on this book here, which unfortunately everybody should read with regard to dementia. This is the Bible called DSM-5, and it explains the various forms of dementia, which includes as a subspecies Alzheimer's. I should tell you, based on my interviews with doctors, and particularly, of course, Dr. Maria, he seems to have a dementia that is driven greatly by his vascular problems. And I went back the last couple of days watching him fall apart, and I went back to August, September of 2020. And I'm going to say something that I guess may sound a little boastful or strange or whatever, but I feel like I'm the only one who alerts the American people to anything. Way back then, I did a podcast with two very, very distinguished doctors, board certified, well educated, no strong political background of any kind. One a lifelong New Yorker, and the other one, I think, a New Yorker also, but started practicing medicine in New York. They may both have been, one way or another, at Mount Sinai. No, one was at the Einstein School of Medicine, and the other was at Mount Sinai. Very distinguished hospitals, among New York's best. And when I went back, I was actually surprised at how definitive they were, that way back in 2020, Biden was suffering from, one doctor would describe it as moderate dementia, but recently, meaning in the months leading up to June, July, and August of 2020, rapidly progressing. Now, remember, progressing means in this book here, regressing. It means getting worse, losing more brain cells, losing more brain capacity. So look at the last week. Well, first of all, I'm looking right now on television. I'm looking at a picture of Biden in his silly Chinese outfit. Now, I know that could be funny. He looks ridiculous. He looks like he's in a straitjacket, which maybe Z ordered him in a straitjacket because Z controls him. I mean, sure as hell gave him a lot of money, and Hunter. But that money, 50% of it was for Joe, and Hunter tells you that. The press doesn't tell you that. But Hunter tells you that in writing, which is about as definitive a way to tell you it, in a text to his daughter in 2018, pretty recent, in which he says, while these Chinese millions were coming into the Biden family, that I pay for all the expenses of the family, and Pop still requires me to give him 50%. So Of course, then that all of a sudden makes the payment sort of make sense. I mean, Z is not paying Hunter Biden $31 million. Hunter Biden is, and you can be sympathetic to this or not, depending on your outlook on it. I actually have some degree of sympathy for Hunter. I see the damage he does to my country, so it's hard. Sometimes I feel funny being sympathetic, but I know probably better than anyone the damage his father did to him. I blame Joe, big time. And as a father, I find him repulsive. But in any event, the simple reality is everything here has to be viewed in light of the fact that Z presided over the granting of a fortune on the Biden family. And now Biden is supposed to independently and courageously represent our interest after having been bribed by the Chinese communists. I also must say it has to be a strange situation, ameliorated only by the fact that Biden is working with, I don't know, a third of his brain cells, half his brain cells, whatever, the number. It must be very, very strange knowing that Giuliani's got about 40% of your life in pictures and hard drives and about 40% of the perversion of the Biden crime family. And I'm talking about perversion at all different levels. The Chinese got it all. You know they do, right? I mean, if the Chinese do not have it all, then we have nothing to worry about. Oh, and by the way, the Russians have it all, and the Ukrainians have it all. Like Zelensky, when he asked for money from Biden, Zelensky could figuratively bury Biden if he revealed all of the files of the Ukrainian government. I mean, we'd find out if the woman who was trying to tell the FBI that the Bidens have a offshore or maybe two bank accounts in which a lot more money than the 8 to 10 million that's demonstrated in the hard drive has been deposited over the years. That woman, at the request of then Attorney General Barr, myself, and my attorney, Bob Costello, in a 4-hour interview, I mean, we disclosed everything about her to the FBI, and the agents and prosecutors in Pittsburgh were quite enthusiastic about going to find her and also to offer her protection because she was being threatened with death. We followed up 2-3 times, and they stopped returning our calls, and we don't know what happens to the woman. But I have all the documents, and that's outrageous. But in any event, Zelensky's got him by the short hairs, and Putin does, and they all do. But think of his behavior in the last 2 or 3 months. I mean, you remember, I'm sure you remember that his looking around for Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, Republican Congresswoman from Indiana. He was looking for her at the Hunger, Nutrition, and Health Forum. Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie? Oh, I guess she's not here today. Roughly, that's what he said. Well, you know where Jackie was? Jackie was dead. Jackie had been dead for 2 months, and it was quite a big deal in Washington at the time. He had actually offered his condolences, and 2 days hence from then, he was going to have a small ceremony for her at the White House. And he was looking for the dead woman. And his shill, the consistent pathological liar, what's the name, Pierre? Jean-Pierre said it, well, she was top of mind. The only reason she'd be top of mind is because she just died. But somehow something went wrong with the brain cells, and they didn't convert into that. I mean, it's one of the major symptoms of dementia. Yeah, sadly, and one of the serious ones. But if that were the one thing, I guess, gosh almighty, I guess that you kind of get it. But I mean, on October 20th, he asserted that his grandfather was an All-American football player, Ambrose Finnegan. There's no record of Ambrose Finnegan back in the turn of the century Well, there just is no record of him being an All-American of any kind. It seems like that's going the way of corn pop, you know? Now, is that dementia, or is that his other serious mental affliction, which is pathological liar, going back to at least his cheating in law school? Now, how does that reflect itself now? Well, before he goes off to this important meeting with Z at the White House, I believe it was, he announces that he's going to Colombia. He was actually going to the other side of the world, to Sharm el Sheikh first, and for a corrupt meeting on climate change, where we were going to just redistribute wealth by just giving money to countries to do things that are not in their interest, which is to not get oil and gas, and therefore people will starve. And we have a food shortage largely because of the insanity of Biden's policies. So he sort of was going to extend those policies, but instead of saying he was going to Sharm el Sheikh, he variously described it as going to Cairo. Well, I can understand that error. I mean, it's both in Egypt, and he would never have been able to pronounce Sharm el Sheikh, even when I knew him 30 years ago. He was too stupid to do that. But and he mispronounced everything by then and forgot everything then. So he's always been stupid. He's never been senile. Now he's senile and stupid. And don't just, I mean, come on. Everyone knew he was the dumbest man. But now he's representing us, and he's giving away our country. So he meets with Z. If you met with Z, the first thing you'd bring up is fentanyl. Hey, stop killing our kids. We've had 2 record years of young men and women dying of fentanyl, and everyone dying of fentanyl in our country. And you're not fooling me, craphead. It comes from your country. And, we don't play ball like that. We're not going to go sending a drug over here to kill Chinese. But we're going to squeeze you so damn hard, they're going to throw you out of office when I get finished with you. And you want to test me? Huh? And by the way, I just reduced the United States budget in almost every agency. I imposed like a 10 to 15% reduction, and I increased the military budget by 20%. And given the GDP of my country, we will crush you in about 3 years in terms of the size of our Navy, Air Force, Marines. You see, I'm like Ronald Reagan. I'm not like the demented sellout Joe Biden, or the equally big sellout Obama, who seemed to be more interested in helping other countries than America and giving millions in cash to terrorists in Iran to kill people, including the Americans. I'm not one of those. I'm sort of like Trump and Reagan. I work for the United States. I never took any money from you, and if you gave me money, I'd have you arrested. I know I couldn't extradite you, but I'd have you arrested, and I'd bring you in front of the International Court for bribery. So you're dealing with a different kind of guy here, Z. So you better get used to it. And I know you got a nice big country and you got a nice big military, but I got an economy that's like 4 times yours, really. I don't have half my people in starvation. I'm not trying to kill another third of them. And I don't know, when's the last time you fought a war? We've been fighting wars forever. You don't think my military is better prepared for war than yours? Oh, and by the way, I wouldn't have given you Bagram. I'd have an airbase 400 miles from you because I wouldn't be a traitor. Wouldn't give away an airbase 400 miles. So Biden doesn't bring up fentanyl at all. Even like maybe in the submissive way in which someone who's owned by someone else would have to do it, like, Mr. Z, please don't send fentanyl. At least he could have done that, like a little submissive, bought, bribed individual that he is in front of a man who knows precisely how evil and perverted Biden is, having all of his hard drives. Not only doesn't he bring up fentanyl, but he doesn't bring up COVID. I mean, that guy killed millions of people. It isn't even beyond doubt. I'm not talking about whether it was deliberately done or not. At the point at which they recognized that COVID was deadly, they closed down China brutally. And they're still doing it. And if you don't like it, they kill you. And then they sent Chinese all over the world until, Trump stopped them. And you were kind of working for China then when you said that Trump was a xenophobic. No. Trump was patriotic. And you, President Biden, were a sellout to China because you didn't reveal when you called Trump xenophobic how much money you and your son have been getting from China, which is straight out and out bribery. And we were stupid enough to elect you because they hid a lot of those facts and because we have people in this country who vote reflexively Democrat, But he should never be forgiven for not bringing up fentanyl and COVID and giving away the Bagram Air Base. There'll be a president, hopefully. Hopefully there isn't. But, there's a good chance there'll be a president that will curse him one day in the White House when he doesn't have that air base 400 miles from China because he didn't sell it for 30 pieces of silver, but he sold it for 30 to 31 million. You can be sure of that. Now, he's doing all this, and he's even wearing their stupid-looking outfit, looking like a prisoner of some kind, without any consideration to the people that complained for the last 2 days how insensitive it was to the people that are being tortured in China and the Catholics that are being destroyed in China. He's a Catholic. You know that, don't you? Very devout. Yeah. He, unlike the Catholic Church, he thinks you can slaughter 9-month-old, 8-month-old, and 7-month-olds in the womb. And unlike Catholics, he seems to feel it's okay that China, kills Catholics and all Christians when he gets a chance in China. Didn't mention that either, did he? No. He I don't know if he was afraid to do it, he forgot it, or that's part of the price. And maybe that stupid outfit he had on was part of the price, too. I'd be damned if the President of the United States, I'd wear one of their outfits. Hey, Z, you're going to wear one of my outfits. See, that's what it means to be a leader and a president, and he's not. He's a bought and paid for piece of nothing left. Now, Russia attacks Poland. They kill 2 Polish citizens. It's a violation of NATO. It's a violation of Article 5. I believe it's Article 5, right? Article 5 that says that we must defend Poland against foreign attack. Now, there is a loophole here. If we can be convinced that Russia did it accidentally, but accidentally is because for 5 months or 3 months, they've been warned, you're flying too close to Poland, you're flying too close to Poland. I've read that 400 times. So what's he going to do about it? So tonight he held a press conference, really interesting press conference. He sat there. I don't know if he was using chopsticks or not, but they looked like they were eating or something. And I don't remember, I looked at it quickly, whether he was in his Chinese outfit or he dressed as an American. I think he should dress as a Chinese all the time, in the Chinese communist outfit all the time, so we know where he's coming from. But in any event, when the press asked the question, his answer was no. I don't know what no means. No, Russia didn't do it. No, I'm not going to respond to what they did. No, I'm not going to respond to your question. Or, please don't ask me because I don't have a brain left. Can't you see? I came here. What do you ask me questions for? I don't even know where I am. Before he left, he said he was going to Cairo. He got corrected. He was going to Sharm el-Sheikh. He never said the word Sharm el-Sheikh. And then he said he was going to Colombia. He corrected it in the White House, in all fairness. He corrected it. So I don't know, I'm going to Cambodia. He can't pronounce Cambodia. But when he got to Cambodia, he made the unbelievable statement that I'm sure you all saw, but not on... If you did, you saw it because of the underground press. He looked at he said that he really was looking forward to working with the Prime Minister of Colombia, who of course is a Cambodian. And then he looked at him. You would think at that point he would have corrected it because the guy doesn't look Colombian. He looks Asian. And he had a hard time pronouncing also the organization. ASEANO. I mean, he had a tough time with that one. But the point that I'm making is, if you said Colombia, I'm with the Prime Minister of Colombia, which is in the Western Hemisphere, and then you looked across at the person you were talking about, and you saw an Asian, and you were as racist as Biden. You know, the Indians, too many Indians in Delaware, and he didn't want to send his kids to the jungle. And, you know, you're not black if you don't vote for him, and all Americans are racist, which is kind of a projection. And, you know, one of his close friends was a head of the Ku Klux Klan. The Democrats, you know, were the Ku Klux Klan and vice versa. I don't know. I think it would, something had happened if you had a healthy brain. Gee, I made a mistake. I mean, you can't be the Prime Minister of Colombia unless they, you know, unless they move Colombia where people who are Asian are now, like something would have happened if there was a functioning brain, but there isn't. You can see during one of these, you can see Blinken go, but you don't see Blinken go, in the interest of the United States of America, although it breaks my heart to do this, my first loyalty is to my country and my countrymen and women. And I'm going to require an inquiry under the 25th Amendment whether he is capable of carrying out the duties of President of the United States. There's not one member of his crooked, unpatriotic cabinet willing to raise that. Not one. And we see it every day now. I mean, I could go on, and I'm not. I mean, I do a podcast on it, and I go back to 2 years ago with these brave doctors who laid out chapter and verse as to how serious his dementia was. You know, you didn't listen to them. And maybe not your fault because it was covered up by the corrupt press, as was the hard drive. I don't know which is worse, that he's a crook or he's mentally deficient. Mentally deficient caused us lives in Afghanistan in large numbers, and it probably caused lives in Ukraine. I do not think that Putin would have invaded Ukraine if we had any kind of a president sitting in Washington. I think he looked at Putin, and Putin looked at him, and Putin's a sharp, tough, mean guy. I've met him. Sharp, tough, mean, and got a functioning brain. He said, this is my chance. I'm never going to get a better chance than this. When am I going to get a weakling like this in the White House? I mean, even another Democrat might not be as weak as this guy. And what's the chances you're going to get another one who has dementia and was a weakling before that and never made a correct decision about foreign policy in his life, according to a member of the Obama cabinet who has a very, very strong functioning brain, Secretary Gates, who I don't think had any particular love for Trump or probably me or anybody Republican, but he loves his country. More power to him. The rest of them don't. He is selling us out in China, and the lapdog press, in many respects, as corrupted by China as he is, but not as perverted, cannot somehow find it in their hearts to put their countrymen and women in front of their huge amounts of money they make from China, whatever China has on them, or their warped Chinese communist-oriented ideology. But you are watching your country being sold out to China. It's pathetic, it's disgusting, it's dangerous, and if you love your children, you're going to do something about it. You didn't do enough about it this election, did you? You didn't. You did enough. I mean, you did enough to get a check on them in the House. But, you know, I recommend this book to you about how China has infiltrated us. The book goes back a bit, and there have been 2 updates, so you get the updates too. But this is the original book that brought out the sellout of the United States to Ukraine. But you notice on the front of the book, I'm sorry, no. This is the more recent copy. On the front of the book is Mr. Z shaking hands with his vassal, demented Biden. Now, Biden isn't wearing his Chinese outfit here; he's wearing his American outfit. But this guy is a mass murderer, Z. But he's got a brain. This guy's got none. He knows it. He's not a corrupted left-winger in the United States, or a brainwashed American, or a stupid, dumb American. He's a really sharp guy. He knows just how sick this guy is. And man, he's squeezing it. Just got himself America removed from 400-mile airbase. God, that could only be done by a demented person or a traitor. Must have made Mr. Z very happy. But I want you to notice, Mr. Schweiker, who's been proven to be correct in everything I've investigated, including, he brought up the Biden thing first, but I got the facts and put them out with John Solomon, only to be ridiculed, destroyed, canceled, eliminated, not even allowed on Fox anymore. But who turned out to be right? Me. Who turned out to be liars? All of them. Led by Biden. The other Democrats, the New York Times. I was a Russian agent. So now we see other people that Mr. Schweiker has major issues with being bought in one way or another by China. I see the former Republican speaker there. I see the guy who now runs Twitter. I see one of the versions of Pelosi's face there. It goes a little broader. There's Gates at the end. I'm not. You read it. Go back and read the stuff on McConnell from Schweiker, not from Trump. So I know you want to talk about Trump. So I'm not going to be a fool and spend all my time on how this guy is selling out America. Nor will I spend any time on the crypto thing, which once again underscores the complete accuracy of what I told you so long ago, that it's disgraceful that it wasn't covered back then, because it never would have been involved in a political campaign. I revealed this to you in February of 2019. I revealed it probably first on Hannity's show, which I'm not allowed on anymore, even though I probably broke some of the most significant news on his show ever about Biden. And then no one really, no one paid attention. They tried to cancel it and cancel me. And I found that John Solomon of The Hill had also independently come upon these allegations, and we worked together. And a combination of Hannity and The Hill, we put out every piece of information on Biden. And we didn't know that the FBI had the hard drive that corroborated what we were saying while we were being attacked over and over again as Russian collaborators and liars and people who wanted to interfere with an election. Then, of course, I got the hard drive and was accused of being a Russian agent again, and so were the others that worked with me. But we turned out to be telling the truth. And the people who are now bringing you January 6th were the ones who were doing the lying. It got to stop. We got to take control of our country. We really do. So what's Trump going to do tonight? I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I don't know. I kind of like it. I have to guess like everybody else. Usually I always knew what he was going to do, except when he changed it. Excuse me.
Thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live with America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Please visit rudygiulianics.com. That's rudygiulianics.com. Mayor, what does the CS stand for?
Common sense And sometime tomorrow or the next day, you will see an analysis of Biden's brain, which none of these cowards would ever dare bring to you. Just like they never would dare have brought to you. If I hadn't revealed it with the help of back then Hannity, who now, I don't know what happened to him, and John Solomon, who's still the patriot that he's always been, this would have been buried forever. You know that, right? If I hadn't revealed it, it would have been buried forever. And so would the hard drive. When it was given to my lawyer, Bob Costello, and me, if I buried it, maybe it would have gotten out 2 or 3 years later, but by that time, they would have been sure ready to destroy. They almost destroyed it anyway. They almost destroyed us in the end. But I mean, you know, I don't know if I can say vindicated, exonerated. I mean, and people say to me, "Don't you feel good that the Justice Department has given up their case on you after investigating you for 2.5 or 3.5 years and seizing your Amazon account without your permission, based on probable cause that I committed a crime, only to find out that there was no probable cause to indict me. So somehow the probable cause disappeared. And then a second warrant to come into my house and raid it, probable cause that I committed a crime. And then, most outrageous of all, I think actually taking my account was the most outrageous of all, since I'm a lawyer. And it invaded not only my own privacy, not only the privacy of my client, Donald Trump, then president, but it invaded the privacy of other clients who have a right to rely on the Sixth Amendment protection of attorneys. But the Biden administration doesn't believe in that. If you're against them, you can rip away that. The corrupt attorney general has no compunction, doing that. And they don't feel any necessity to explain to you how they could have made this horrible mistake and done such an effective job of destroying my career as a lawyer, and in many other ways. I mean, I'm suspended from the practice of law because I'm a danger. But a judge in the District of Columbia appointed by Obama dismissed me as having any involvement at all in causing the January 6th violence. So why am I still suspended? Because it never was about that at all. It's about a group of, I don't know how to describe them, but they're certainly not people who respect the law. Trump derangement syndrome people, wild, insane New York liberals, the kind of people, like from the Association of the Bar of the City of New York, who would find Harvard and Yale educated, first in their class law students who become appointed to the Supreme Court unqualified because they're conservative. These are the kind of people going after me, as well as judges that are appointed by the Democratic county leaders in New York who hate me because I put a couple of the most significant ones in jail, and one of them committed suicide because I caught him doing what Biden was doing, taking bribes. See, I'm good at that. I'm good at catching criminals because I'm honest. They're not. I never had any fear that they would be able to convict me of a crime. I knew I didn't commit one. I did fear that they would frame me, as they attempted to frame my client. And I caught them at that and stopped them, and they hate me for that. I mean, whatever you think of Donald Trump, they tried to frame him with Russian collusion. And they tried to put him in jail, remember, knowing it was untrue. And they spent at least $1.1 million to develop a false report. And they lied to judges to get phony warrants. So why am I surprised they did it to me? And those same people are the members of the January 6th committee. And a bunch of sheep here in America are still going like this to them. I mean, you see the face of... you see the face of Pelosi or Swalwell, or let's say, the one who got defeated, Lauria. Lauria was on the committee. I don't know what happened to her, but I'm glad the people of Virginia threw her out. I mean, you look at those people; they were all Russian collusion people. How many times do they get to lie, and how many times do we have to prove that we're telling the truth? I don't know. Maybe my next podcast, after I thoroughly expose the deteriorating brain of a man who really has been the dumbest man in his class from the time he was a kid. So, I mean, there wasn't much of a brain to work with. And if it starts deteriorating, that's when you get a guy who says his home was almost lost in a fire. That never happened. It was a minor little fire. Or saying that his grandfather was an All-American and there's no proof of it, or he was first in his class and he was third from last, or I don't know. I mean, what did you elect him for? I know you hated Trump, but even if you didn't know he was what the doctors say he was then, suffering from anywhere from moderate to severe dementia, headed for complete destruction of his brain, which is what happens with dementia. Even if you didn't know that, I mean, you knew you were dealing with a pathological liar. I mean, he had to drop out of the '88 race for that. So what do people want to know about Trump? Anything? You want to know what he's going to say tonight?
Thanks for joining us. We have broken records this evening, Mayor. We have over 3,500 individuals in the concurrent live stream for YouTube alone. Lots of questions, but ladies and gentlemen, let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from. Give us your name and the state, maybe city that you're tuning in from. Lots of questions on what to expect tonight. Lots of questions on the recent elections. Mayor, let's maybe quickly look back at the Senate, turnout of the Senate elections, and any reaction you have on the Democrats seemingly to hold on to the Senate with some key victories out west.
Well, I mean, the Democrats have control of the Senate with a tie vote based on President Harris, who not only has Biden referred to as President Harris in the last 3 weeks, but announced on her birthday that she was a great president. What do I have to do to show you he's demented? Do I have to show you an X-ray of his brain? I know it's kind of cute. He always calls her President Harris. But how has it now become she's a great president? I didn't say that. He said it. He's constantly saying things like, let me start off with 2 words, made in America. I don't know, how many times is he not going to be able to count? Do you know one of the most significant giveaways that you have dementia is having trouble with that kind of trouble with numbers? Simple little, 3 words, and you think they're 2 or 4. And we're not talking about sophisticated math. I mean, the only other explanation for that is he was educated in a New York school, where math is whatever you say it is. 2 plus 2 equals 7. Oh, you're right, Johnny. We don't want you to make you feel bad. Well, that's because it's run by communists who want to destroy America. But tell me what else I have to do to show you the obvious that the man is a sick man. He has a brain that isn't working. I'll take care of it. Don't worry, because I want to play something for them, Ted. Do not interfere in what I'm doing here. I got a purpose to my madness. So, I mean, it's really frustrating me that, and here's why it's frustrating me. It's not a question of ego. It's a question of saving my country. I mean, how many more people are we going to let this guy kill because he doesn't have a brain? Those people in Afghanistan didn't have to die. A moderately intelligent president would have not removed the troops before the civilians in a country surrounded by terrorists. Let's go through that one more time. Let's go through it like we're in a class, a hypothetical case. A country is surrounded by terrorists who we've been beating into the ground and beating into submission for 20 years. The president, wisely or not, announces we're going to pull out. In that country are a number of people, Americans, and also people who helped us bravely and put their lives and families' lives at risk to defeat these terrorists, because they know what terrorists do in their country, which is rape the women, kill the children, and kill the population to get control of it. So here's the plan he comes up with. The military will leave first. We will abandon Bagram Air Base, which is 400 miles from China, to do them a favor. Well, he owes them because of the 31 million, I guess. And 500 miles from Iran, because he and Obama have a sick love for Iran, such that they invested millions, hundreds of millions, by giving them cash. Now, Obama may have then still been, at that point, too demented and possibly too stupid to realize the following proposition, but you're not. Countries exchange money by wire, generally. Why would a country want cash? I want you just to sit back and think about it for a minute. And why would a country that is well known as the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world particularly want cash? Because they're going to give it to terrorists. Now, Biden, I might have to let him off the hook for being, even if not demented by that, too dumb to do all that. Remember, I know him. Obama's not too dumb to know all that. Obama knew exactly what he was doing. He was supporting Islamic jihadism to the point where he gave people who kill Americans and Israelis money, and that had to convert itself into the slaughter of innocent human beings. That's Barack Obama, Prince Barry. She'd never be forgiven for that, for giving Iran cash. He shouldn't be allowed any place decent for giving Iran cash. If he didn't know that they wanted the cash to give it to terrorists, then maybe he's as stupid as Biden. But he's not. He's clever. Well, who do we have, Ted?
Thanks for joining.
And what are they saying? Are they anticipating actually listening to a president? Because we haven't heard one in a few years that can actually put more than 3 sentences together without, thinking that his wife is his sister, or his grandfather was an All-American, or that, what are some of the other things, or that, this is really tragic, saying that his son died in combat in Iraq, being corrected. His son died in a hospital in the United States. And then within 5 days, repeating it again. Now, how can you escape? Look, you know how many times I've said to myself, how can they escape the, this goes back 3.5 years ago, sitting there with my lawyers, and lawyers who were working on the case with me saying, there's no way they can escape this. It's a $3.2 million money laundering transaction involving the Biden company and Joe, that went from the crookedest man in Ukraine, Mykola Zlochevsky, and a murderer, to Latvia, to Cyprus, and then disappeared, or the Biden end of it disappeared, until it showed up in an American courtroom when Biden's partner, Devin Archer, was being prosecuted. And there you could see the money coming into the Biden company with, forgotten it was 800,000 or 900,000, with a note saying it went to Joe. Now, that was one note.
later corroborated by Hunter's own statement saying that half of everything goes to Joe, that he's got to pay for the expenses of the family, corroborated by that contract where an additional 10% went to Joe, the big guy. The hard drive internally corroborates that because you see texts in which Joe Biden is referred to as the big guy. And of course, Mr. Bobulinski was ready to testify under oath, but the FBI never went back to him because they never wanted it under oath. You think Barr knew about that? If Barr knew about it, he's just as guilty as they are. Maybe that's why he's making all these unbelievably unsupported, ridiculous statements, including his attacks on me, by the way. But I don't consider Barr worth responding to because I believe Barr also sold out his country. I gave him the name of a woman who was ready to give them bank accounts and whose life was in jeopardy, and they left her high and dry. I don't know what's happened to her. And it sits on my conscience, but I don't know. I mean, at that point, I actually trusted Barr. Big mistake. Big mistake for that poor woman.
Thanks for joining us. We're on America's Mayor Live with America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Please like and subscribe to our channel, share with your friends, and bring one more person on to tomorrow's live stream. We've just got 15 minutes left tonight. Of course, a big announcement at the top of the hour, Mayor. A lot of questions coming in.
Well, okay, I'm going to give you two possibilities, okay? And then tomorrow night we'll see. I don't want to have a betting channel because I really think betting can be corrosive. And I really have real issues with Mayor Adams promoting betting and drugs. And I think he's going to, well, I think he and Hochul are going to destroy the city. They're destroying the city anyway. And it doesn't matter about gambling. Gambling is just one part of it. A lot more serious things they're doing. But in any event, I was trying to lighten it up a little. So there are two possibilities tonight. One of them is not that he's not run for president. And I have zero. I must be getting a cold or something. Maybe I'm getting COVID. Like, do you know that prime minister in Cambodia, who Biden can't keep straight in terms of whether he's Colombian or Cambodian, the day after he saw Biden got COVID? And that's not funny. I mean, that's sad. I hope the man's okay. I mean, that poor man doesn't deserve to suffer because our president's a crook and demented. But, I mean, it is kind of odd that the guy got COVID. But I guess it's just one of those. Is that a song? It's just one of those things. Just one of those. Look, I normally can't sing, but my voice like this, everybody's going to tune out if I start singing. I got to make one point, though, before I go back to giving you my predictions on really the greatest president in the 21st century, because he hasn't had much competition. You know, Bush is going to come out tomorrow, and he can be there with Obama, the guy who gave all that money to terrorists. What the hell's Bush doing with a guy who gives cash to terrorists? I don't know what happened to Bush. I think it's anger. I mean, they have a right to be angry at Trump he pummeled Jeb Bush. I like Jeb Bush very, very much. I'm sure he'll never forgive me for supporting Trump, but I believed it was in the best interest of my country. And despite all the mumbo jumbo and terrible things and things that people think are terrible, he did more for our country than any president since Ronald Reagan, without any doubt. Positive, concrete things, certainly things that conservatives would consider enormously important, like the best economy in 40 to 50 years, the best economy for blacks and Hispanics ever, a peaceful world. And I don't think even the Bushes would disagree with this. Putin wouldn't have attacked Ukraine if Trump were there. First of all, Afghanistan wouldn't have happened the way it did, with our displaying consummate cowardice. That encouraged him to do it. I mean, you could make the argument that the lives of those Ukrainian people are that some of that blood's on Biden's hands. And I don't think another American president, except maybe Obama, maybe. I mean, I would say maybe Obama because he gave the cash to Iran. Bush wouldn't have done that. Neither Bush, and I don't think Clinton would have done it, believe it or not. I worked with Bill Clinton for 7 years, and I know all the stuff about Bill here and there, but he had a hell of a brain. He's a smart guy. Maybe he didn't use it for all the right things, but you can't. You dispute Clinton's intellect, and there's something wrong with you. You might dispute his politics, his policies. Although I thought his policies weren't all that bad. You can dispute the way he acted. I think that there's a level of corruption there with him and her. I don't know who's driving that the most. I tend to think, and I may be dead wrong on this because who knows? Who knows? You can get a little screwed up here, but I tend to think she's much worse than he is. And I mean, I worked furiously to stop her from being president. I knew Trump for years, and I considered him a friend and a good friend, and I had supported him with other people on the Democrat side, but not in the same way. I mean, part of it was my conviction that Trump would be a good president, my anger at the unfairness with which he was treated, and my absolute conviction that Hillary would destroy my country. And Biden has certainly now, fulfilled more than that, because Hillary even would have been a better president than the demented one.
Thanks for joining us. Let's take a poll. Comment below, let us know if you think Trump will announce tonight.
He will. I'm going to answer. Yes, Ted, Trump's going to announce tonight. Okay, keep going.
B, does he put it off until a later date, but before the end of the year? C, does he wait until next year, early next year?
No.
D, just indefinitely. So let's just give two options. He announces tonight, or he does not announce tonight. Those are the two.
Rudy votes, announces tonight.
B, he does not announce tonight. A, he announces tonight. B, he does not announce tonight. A lot of A's.
And don't be influenced by me. I do not have inside information, but I am going to give you a wrinkle that just comes from Rudy's brain and listening to other Republicans. I think there's a really good chance. I'm looking at Mar-a-Lago right now, which I know like the back of my hand. I've stayed there probably 100 times, even before he was president. I paid. I'm not a Democrat. No, I paid. This is one of the reasons they couldn't get me. I paid. I got a letter. Unfortunately, I can't find it. I tried to find it a couple of weeks ago. I have a letter, but I'll find it. I have a letter from George Steinbrenner from way back saying you're the only politician who ever paid for his tickets. Well, that's because I live in a crooked city with crooked Democrats. You think I have the slightest bit of naivete about the Democrat Party in New York? It's a completely corrupt organ, much worse than under Tammany Hall, because it's more sophisticated in its criminality in Albany and in New York City. But in any event, here's what I think he's going to do. And I'm going out on a limb here. He's going to announce for president. He's going to point out how much better the country was under him. He's probably going to say, I hope he says it this way, there are a lot of good people running for the nomination, because there are. They're good people. He has the right to say, they didn't do it, I did. I've done it already. And number two, I think he's going to say, I'm going to announce I'm running, but I'm not really going to get started and distract you until after the Georgia primary, because that's got to come first. And I'm going to work with those people, even the ones who are thinking of running against me. I'm going to work with them to make sure we get that extra vote in the Senate. Because, and we'll over time, maybe in the next week or two, or maybe even tomorrow, I'll explain to you there's a big difference between 50-50 and 51-48. We get a lot more prerogatives at 50-50, and we lose them all under 51-49. I'm getting like Biden, 51-48. Oh, my goodness. Rudy. I'm going to go see my doctor tomorrow. We're going to take one of these. It says if you just do it once, it's okay.
Thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live with Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Just 5 minutes left. Like and subscribe to our channel, like our page, share it with your friends and your network, and visit rudygiulianics.com.
Ted, we got to call her out. You know who's bossing us around in the background? Is she telling Ted what to do? She's telling me what to do.
Well, let's tell everyone
She
what to do.
she just reminded Ted to tell you all the ways in which you can find us, because we're going to have a hell. I haven't worked on a podcast as much as this one. In about 3 weeks. I work really hard on the podcast because I try to make sure they're accurate. I think the other thing that really upsets me about the bar associations is everything I allege I have support for.
And we go to rudygiulianics.com to watch all of his past podcasts. That's rudygiulianics.com. And what does the CS stand for?
Common sense.
And Mayor, just 4 minutes left. We are closing out. What message do you have for conservatives tonight? For all Americans?
Look. If the former president and the governor of Florida are saying a couple of things, boom, 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 going at each other, it's politics. Let the boys, get it out of their system. They're going to be together in the end. They have the same values. In some ways they're very similar. In some ways they're very different, but in some ways they're very similar. I respect achievement in government because I believe I had great achievement in government as a prosecutor and as a mayor. And I really respect what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida. And it was hard during the attacks that he underwent during the pandemic. And because of Dr. Maria, I probably had a bird's eye view of it and understood it better, as well as understanding this better than most people. But the reality is President Trump was a hell of a president. And I even the people who now are questioning say, we don't like the way he acted, we don't like what he said, we don't know, but boy, we sure liked his policies. I don't know, aren't they the most important? And I'm going to give you a couple other people who deserve consideration if in fact it's going to turn out that way. Governor Abbott, hell of a governor. How about Rand Paul? Boy, did that take guts to go after that weasel Fauci. Whoa! He ripped him apart. And I mean, there are people I'm leaving out that I shouldn't. But I'm just telling you, we've got a luxury of truly great people in our party because our party stands for something. And they are bankrupt. They're morally bankrupt. They're spiritually bankrupt. They're intellectually bankrupt. And Biden is brainwave bankrupt. Let's stick together, huh?
Just a couple minutes left, Mayor. Let's take one more.
Oh, no, where? Who took my slippers? Who took my slippers? Christmas shopping, mypillow.com/Rudy. Now, wait a second. On Christmas morning when you get up, see these? These come from My Pillow. They're not pillows. Look, they're not pillows, but they come from My Pillows. These are great in the winter. I just took them out about 3 days ago because it's getting cold in New York. mypillows.com/Rudy, and you'll get the best price. And you can get sheets, you can get other stuff. Look, you don't get slippers like solid. If I did this with like French slippers, they go blah, 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 blah. Or those funny little slippers that men sometimes wear, twinkle toes. So, mypillows.com/Rudy. Get your feet warm, men and women. They got men, women slippers. They got all kinds of stuff, good stuff, and you're supporting a patriot. You're supporting a guy with a big pair of slippers. We'll see it tomorrow night. I'm going to be anxiously listening to the greatest president of the 21st century and one of our really best in my lifetime. I think of Ronald Reagan because he's my hero as, let me say, City on a Hill. I think of Ronald Reagan on a hill with Winston Churchill and just a few people. President Trump, some of those accomplishments match Ronald Reagan. So he's got a right to tell us what he wants to do. I would urge Republicans, even those who are thinking running against him, do it respectfully. The man is entitled to respect for what he did for our country. Even if you feel, my goodness, somebody else should get a chance. It doesn't take away from the fact that this man is entitled to tremendous respect for what he did to his country and an extra degree of respect because they tried to frame him for something he didn't do, and I know what that feels like. And that's why I represented him. And remember, I beat him because they never got him out. I beat him. And when I came in, he was losing. And I beat him because he was innocent. So you enjoy listening to it. I think he's coming out right now, so you can go right into watching this very, very interesting moment in American history with a great president coming back and telling us whether he's going to try to seek it again. Thank you. God bless you. And remember, I'll be on WABCRadio.com, 3 o'clock tomorrow, and watch for my podcast. It's going to answer all your questions about Biden's brain or lack thereof. Thank you, and God bless America.
He already filed papers to run for president.